The Nelson Mandela Foundation, together with Welcome Msomi, will be reviving uMabatha, known as the Zulu Macbeth, to coincide with the Nelson Mandela Centennial celebrations on the 30th of July 2018. uMabatha now is a theatrical production telling the story of the Zulu King Shaka's rise to power. Now, the play was first performed in South Africa in 1970 when Nelson Mandela was still imprisoned on Robben Island. Now, and upon his release and becoming the president of the country, Nelson Mandela, who personally loved the show, recognized his value as a cultural ambassador for the new rainbow nation of South Africa he was trying to build. And for more on the play, we're joined by the director, Welcome Msomi. Very good morning to you, Mr. Msomi.
Hey, good morning, Spirit.
Now, first of all, give us a background into the idea of reviving uMabatha. What is the objective?
The objective was that when I was in New York, and what happened is that Ted Koppel from Nightline asked me to create something South African because he was going to have an interview with Nelson Mandela.
Wow.
And I didn't care about the gig. What I wanted to do was just to see Mandela. So I knew where he was going to come. So I stood somewhere at the Aaron Davis Hall, and I saw Mandela with Bamwini coming down, and all I wanted was just to raise my hand. And he stops. He looks at me. He says, "I know you. You are Welcome Msomi. Where is uMabatha?" That I was so shocked that he knew anything about me. And then immediately I said, "I'll revive it for you." And of course, I had closed the show 10 years back. And and then he says, "When are you going back to South Africa?" And I said, "Now that you are out, I'll go back." So I told two lies. To revive uMabatha, I wasn't going to do. To go back to South Africa, I wasn't going to go back. But luckily, I came back to South Africa and ended up working with Mr. Mandela. And to cut a long story short, Alan Joseph at the Joburg Civic Theatre then said, "Why don't you revive uMabatha?" And I said, no. Then I remembered that I had promised Mandela, and he wanted to see uMabatha. And I said, "Yes, I'll revive it." And that is how we got connected, because Mandela loved uMabatha. In fact, when he came to see the show, he was making so much noise, And Zinzi had to say, "Tata, this is the theater. You don't make noise." And Mandela would stop. And then he forgets. And he said, "Eke." And everybody looks. And I said to Zinzi, "Listen, don't disturb him. He's enjoying himself." And so for his centenary, then we thought maybe it would be a great idea to revive uMabatha.
The kind of pressure that was exerted on you to revive this kind of production just goes to show just what an iconic production it certainly was. Now, talk to me about the amount of work that goes into reviving an internationally acclaimed production such as this one. Are there any, perhaps, new elements added to it?
What is going to be interesting about this revival is that I'm going to go through 4,000 auditions. I'm going to audition in Johannesburg, Newcastle, Pietermaritzburg, Durban, to get 60 people. So that is, and then also retaining some of the actors like Dieketseng Mnisi, who will still play Gamatonsela. And then I have other performers who played and danced in the show. So there's a lot that goes on. And if we're going to be taking uMabatha through a South African tour, when we open in July 30th, already some of the major stars around the world will be coming down to South Africa for the opening. And then we'll do a South African tour, and then an African tour, and then an international tour, celebrating and paying tribute to Nelson Mandela. So the auditions are going to be quite exciting, because I don't know who I'm going to find for the new production, but I'm very, very excited.
Yeah. And South Africa is an ocean of talent, and I'm sure you're going to have fun in that.
Yeah.
So With what, in your opinion, did this particular production play towards cementing South Africa's role as the theatre powerhouse?
In fact, what was interesting is that when we opened at the Aldrich Theatre in 1972, we broke all box office records. And what was interesting is that we never had a word in English, and it was all in Zulu. And then in 73, we broke all box office records. And then after that, uMabatha went all over the world. And then in 95, we performed for Nelson Mandela at his request, and we did a major tour of the US.
Just a quick one, Mr. Msomi, we don't have much time, unfortunately.
Sure. Yeah.
One may wonder why this particular play is revived during the year of Nelson Mandela. Are there perhaps any commonalities between King Shaka and Nelson Mandela?
Yeah, you see, if you look at the power and you look at leaders, and there are leaders who are not really good leaders, and there are leaders who are very good. And uMabatha, we highlight the danger of a leader who does not follow the instincts, the right instincts to lead people, because uMabatha ends up being killed. And so then the rightful owner comes in. So we are looking at having this production, all over the world. Okay. And what is very important is that we then said, you know what, let's create a website. So we have a website, www.uMabatha.com. Okay. That is where everything is loaded. And we are looking forward. We have producers from the UK, from the US, and around Europe. Okay. And the excitement is very, very high.
Remind us again of the dates.
Dates, July 30th at the Open Air Theatre. Okay. At the case that is where it started in 1970. So we are going back there to start the journey, the new journey of uMabatha, and it's going to be quite exciting.
Exciting indeed, and it's definitely going to be an exciting year. Thank you so much for chatting to us, Mr.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Right, that is writer, director and choreographer Welcome Msomi sharing more on the theatrical play uMabatha, which will once again be revived as part of the Centennial Mandela celebrations on the 30th of July 2018.